My twin sister slept with my fiancé and then tried to ruin my life. When I caught my fiancé cheating, I didn't expect who ended up in bed with him. But the real hell began next, when my own sister tried to make me look crazy. I wish I was making this up. I wish this was some twisted dream I could just wake up from. But no, this is my life now, and I have no idea how to even begin processing what happened. I was supposed to get married last weekend. Instead, I walked away from the altar, dress soaked in tears, heart in pieces, and the man I thought I'd spend my life with, exposed as the ultimate betrayer. The twist? He wasn't cheating with just anyone. He was sleeping with my twin sister. Yeah, let that sink in. So let me start from the beginning, because you're probably wondering how the hell someone misses the signs. My fiancé, let's call him Jake, and I had been together for 5 years. We met at a mutual friend's party, hit it off immediately, and were practically glued together from that night on. He was charming, attentive, supportive. Everyone loved him, especially my family, especially my twin, Leah. Now, Leah and I used to be close. As kids, we were inseparable. But as adults, things shifted. She became competitive about everything. Grades, jobs, men. I thought we'd grown past that. I really did. When I got engaged to Jake, she acted thrilled, gushed about how perfect we were, offered to help with the planning, even volunteered to be my maid of honor. I was touched. Maybe this would bring us closer again. But little things started to feel off. There were times I'd find them deep in conversation. Then they'd go silent when I entered the room. She'd casually mention things about Jake's preferences that I didn't even know. His favorite brand of whiskey, the kind of cologne he wears when he's trying to impress someone. Once, I caught her wearing one of his hoodies at my parents' house. She claimed she grabbed it by accident thinking it was mine. I let it go. I didn't want to be paranoid. Didn't want to start a war over what could have been nothing. But I should have trusted my gut. The night before the wedding, we did the usual rehearsal dinner. Jake seemed distant. When I asked if he was okay, he brushed it off as stress and exhaustion. I believed him. I shouldn't have. That night, I stayed at my parents' place while he was at our shared apartment. Around 1 a.m., I got a weird text from an unknown number. You deserve to know what your fiancé is doing. Check your sister's phone. No name, no context. Just that. I stared at the message for what felt like an hour. I didn't sleep at all. The next morning, I woke up early and found Leah in the kitchen. She was all smiles, making coffee like it was the happiest day of our lives. I asked to borrow her phone, said I needed to call a vendor because mine was dead. She hesitated, visibly froze, then tried to fake a smile and said, "Let me just plug it in first. It's low on battery." Red flag. I didn't let her out of my sight. When she turned to grab her charger, I snatched the phone from the counter. She lunged for it, but I was quicker. The first thing I opened was her texts. There they were, hundreds of messages between her and Jake. Some recent, some from months ago. Flirty, intimate, explicit. Pictures, videos. I couldn't breathe. My vision blurred. My body went cold. Leah stood there, silent. No denial, no apology. Just smug, like she wanted me to find out. Like this was some game, and she finally won. "You were never enough for him," she said, calm as anything. "You just didn't see it." I slapped her. I'm not proud of it, but I did. I left the house, got into my car, drove straight to the venue. Everyone was already there, waiting. I stormed in, found Jake, and threw the phone at him. He didn't even try to deny it. Just mumbled something about not meaning for it to happen, and it started as a mistake. I looked him in the eyes and said, "You don't get to be sorry. You get to be alone." Then I walked out, dress and all. Now I'm sitting in my apartment, alone, writing this because I honestly don't know what to do next. My sister hasn't reached out. My parents are furious with her, disgusted with Jake, and heartbroken for me. I feel like my whole life just imploded. They were doing this for months, right under my nose. They even had the audacity to talk about keeping it going after the wedding. And the worst part? They're still seeing each other. Apparently, they didn't waste time. So, yeah. That's how I found out my fiancé was cheating on me with my twin. On my wedding day. There's more to this story. But I need a break. I need to figure out how to move forward from here. I needed to get it out, because keeping this in is poisoning me. After I walked out of my own wedding, I thought the worst was over. It wasn't. What followed was weeks of chaos, whispers, betrayal on betrayal, and eventually, revenge. Not the petty kind, the slow, calculated, soul-piercing kind. Let me backtrack. I cut off both Jake and Leah immediately, blocked their numbers, deleted every photo, every message. I stayed at my parents' house the first few nights while they tried to process everything, as my mom put it. She was furious, not just with Leah, but with herself. She'd always been more forgiving toward my sister, brushing off her manipulative tendencies as just part of being a twin. Not anymore. The wedding was canceled. Most of the guests had already heard by that evening what went down. My cousin spilled the tea on Instagram stories. You know how things spread fast? Imagine dozens of guests gossiping in real time, tagging locations, posting pictures of my abandoned wedding dress in the hallway. It went viral, locally at least. People were texting me, "Is this true? Are Jake and Leah really a thing? WTF happened?" I didn't respond to any of it, until Jake tried to play the victim. He posted a statement on Facebook, because of course he did, saying he deeply regretted how things ended, and that feelings developed unexpectedly, and they never meant to hurt anyone. I saw red, so I posted screenshots, the ones from Leah's phone. I didn't even need to say much, just enough to show how long it had been going on, and how intentional it was. His deep regret didn't stop him from sneaking around, sending graphic selfies to my sister, or planning weekends away while telling me he was on business trips. The comment section turned into a wildfire. Some of his friends defended him, mostly guys, but a lot of people were horrified. His boss saw it. His mom saw it. People unfriended him publicly. Meanwhile, Leah, she was strangely silent. No denial, no apology. Just kept posting gym selfies and inspirational quotes like she was some self-actualized goddess rising from ashes. Ashes, she lit herself. But here's where it gets juicy. About 2 weeks after the wedding that never was, I got a message from someone I didn't know. A woman named Amber. She said, "Hey, I saw what happened with your ex and your sister. I'm so sorry. I think you should know. He was cheating on Leah too. With me." I felt sick. Turns out Jake had been seeing Amber casually for almost a year. They met on a dating app. She had no idea he was engaged, let alone also sleeping with my sister. She sent me screenshots, messages, selfies, even a voicemail where Jake said, "Leah's just a phase, babe. Don't worry. A phase." Like my sister was a temporary distraction. I forwarded everything to Leah. No words, just the receipts. She didn't respond for 3 days. Then finally, "You're disgusting. You've always been jealous of me." That's when it hit me. Leah didn't care about Jake. She never did. This wasn't about love. It was about winning, about taking. What was mine just to prove she could. She was so obsessed with beating me at some invisible game that she didn't care if she got burned. So I let her burn. I sent the screenshots to her boss. Not out of spite, but because I knew she had an office romance policy at her company, and she'd recently joined a firm that prided itself on ethical representation. Her whole personal brand was built on being empowering, honest, bold. You can't promote women's mentorship while banging your twin's fiancé and threatening her over text. They fired her within the week. Then I sent a curated package of screenshots to a few friends who had been supporting Jake online. One of them was engaged to him years ago and broke it off when he cheated. She DM'd me. Honestly, I'm not surprised. He did the same thing to me. You were just the one who exposed him. Jake lost his job too. Not immediately, but after a background check flagged reputational concerns. Yeah, apparently those screenshots circulated fast in our industry. He went from project lead to unemployed in under a month. Meanwhile, I started therapy, started journaling, started healing. People kept telling me how strong I was, how they couldn't have handled it like I did. But truth is, I broke down every night. I cried until my face hurt. I questioned everything, my self-worth, my judgment, my ability to ever trust again. But then, one day, I woke up, and I felt light, like the weight of their lies wasn't on me anymore. Last week, I posted a picture of myself on a solo trip I took to Iceland. Just me in front of a waterfall, smiling for real. No filters, no captions, and I noticed something wild. Jake viewed it. From a burner account. So did Leah. I don't need revenge anymore. They lost each other and everything else at trying to tear me down. And I'm still here, still rising, still winning. It's been 6 months since I left Jake at the altar and exposed him and my sister Leah for the human garbage fires they are. Since then, my life's done a full 180. I changed jobs, moved cities, started therapy, got back into hiking, painting, solo travel. Basically, I remembered who I was before I gave years of my life to someone who didn't deserve a minute. I thought I was done with the past, but the past doesn't always stay dead. About 3 weeks ago, I got a message. Not a text, I'd blocked Leah's number ages ago, but a letter. As in, actual paper, handwritten, like it was 1997. It was forwarded from my parents' house. I opened it with zero expectations. It started with, "Dear sis, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from. I just hope you'll read this." She went on to say Jake had dumped her, shocking, and that she was completely broken. Apparently he'd ghosted her after losing his job. Just vanished, moved back in with his parents, left her with bills, embarrassment, and no explanation. Karma really doesn't need help sometimes. Then came the kicker. I miss my sister. I miss my best friend. I know I hurt you in a way I can't take back, but I hope someday you might find a way to forgive me. I stared at the letter for a long time. My emotions were all over the place. She missed me? The same sister who spent months sneaking around with my fiancé behind my back? The one who told me I was jealous after I exposed her? The one who had zero remorse until her life collapsed? I crumpled the letter, tossed it in a drawer. Didn't answer, but that wasn't the end. A few days later, she showed up, at my apartment. I have no idea how she got the address. Maybe through a mutual. Maybe she stalked my socials. But there she was, standing in front of my building, holding a coffee like we were about to catch up on brunch plans. I almost didn't open the door, but I did. She looked different, smaller, like life had chewed her up and spit her out. Her hair was darker. She had bags under her eyes, and when she spoke, her voice cracked. "Can we talk? Please." I let her in, against my better judgment. She started crying the second she sat down, talking about how Jake used her, manipulated her, made her feel like she had finally won something over me, only to abandon her completely. "I deserved it," she said. "Everything that happened. I thought hurting you would fix something in me, and instead, I lost everything." And for a moment, I almost did feel sorry for her, until she said, "I know you probably still hate me, but you're the only family I have left." That's when something in me snapped. I stood up, looked her straight in the eyes, and said, "Leah, I don't hate you. I don't feel anything for you, and that's worse." I told her she wasn't my family anymore. That forgiveness is something you earn, not something you ask for when you're lonely. That every time I look at the wreckage of my former life, the wedding I never had, the years I'll never get back, her face is part of it. She sat there, stunned. Maybe she thought a few tears and a sad coffee would undo everything. But this isn't a movie. Before she left, she asked, Is there any chance we'll talk again? I said, maybe in another life, and closed the door. I haven't heard from her since, but I've heard from myself more than ever. The voice that used to doubt, second guess, or bend to keep people happy, that voice is gone. Now I protect my peace like my life depends on it. Because it does. If you're reading this, and you've been betrayed by someone close, not just cheated on, but gutted from the inside by someone you trusted, I want you to hear this. You can come back from it, not by forgiving them, not by being the bigger person, but by choosing yourself over their mess. It's funny how silence can be so loud. After Leah left, it was like the air in my apartment changed. Cleaner, lighter. Like her presence had been this weight I didn't realize I'd been bracing against. But the peace didn't last long, because just 2 weeks after that, Jake decided to make his grand reappearance. No warning, no message, just a missed call. I stared at his name on my screen for 5 full minutes. My chest didn't tighten the way it used to. No rage, just this dry, dull shock. Like seeing the ghost of a guy you used to know before he burned your life down. He didn't leave a voicemail. But the next morning I got a text. Hey, I owe you an apology. Can we talk? I laughed out loud. An apology? Now? This man watched me fall apart on our wedding day. He stood there while I screamed at him in front of everyone we knew, watched as I tore off the ring and dropped it on the floor. He didn't say a word then. Not one. But now he wants to talk? I ignored it. Then he tried again the next day. I've been doing a lot of thinking. I was a coward. You didn't deserve any of what happened. Please, just one conversation. Nope. Then a longer message came 2 days later. A full-on wall of text. He said he was depressed, that he didn't know how to handle commitment, that he was intimidated by how perfect I seemed and sabotaged it because he didn't feel worthy, that he felt pushed toward Leah because she made him feel needed. I read that part 3 times. Jake felt pushed to sleep with my twin sister because she needed him? What kind of nonsense apology tour was this? He said he'd been in therapy, of course, and that his therapist encouraged him to make amends. He mentioned regret like it was a badge of honor. And then, the final punchline. I don't expect us to go back to what we were, but I'd love a chance to reconnect, even as friends. Friends. This man really thought we could go from wedding day betrayal to catching up over coffee? I didn't respond, but something inside me snapped, not from anger, but clarity. Cold, sharp clarity. Jake was a taker. He took my love, my loyalty, my time, my trust. He took my sister from me, and when the consequences finally caught up with him, he looked around and realized there was no one left. So he came back to the one person who had always held space for him. But that version of me? She's dead. I didn't block him immediately. I let the silence sit for a week. Then I texted back, just one line. You don't get to rewrite the ending. I already wrote mine. Blocked, deleted, done. It's wild, honestly. I used to think closure came from understanding, from getting the full story, the apologies, the explanations. But it doesn't. Closure comes when you stop needing answers from people who never deserved the questions in the first place. I'm not going to pretend I'm healed. Some days I still flinch when someone says, wedding. I haven't dated again yet. I'm not in a rush. Trust is a slow thing to rebuild, especially when it's not just others I have to trust, but myself. But I'm getting there. And if Leah or Jake ever try to come back again, I won't even open the door, because I'm not their victim anymore. I'm the one who walked away. Leah showing up at my job should have been the final straw. And in a way, it was. Because after that, I realized something. I wasn't scared of her anymore. I wasn't shocked or heartbroken or desperate to make people believe me. I was just done. Done playing defense. Done justifying myself. Done letting her define the narrative. So I went home that night, opened my laptop, and wrote everything. No filters, no sugarcoating. I laid out the entire timeline. How I caught Jake cheating. How Leah admitted it. How she tried to gaslight me afterward. I included screenshots, blurred names where I could, and told the story like it actually happened. Messy, painful, and real. Then I posted it on my private blog, just for close friends. But you know how things work online. Someone shared it, then someone else. And suddenly the truth had a life of its own. I started getting messages, not hate, support, from people who'd been through similar things. From mutual friends who finally saw through Leah's act. Even from strangers who said, "Thank you, I thought I was crazy until I read this." Leah tried to fight back, of course. Claimed I was spiraling, obsessed, making things up for attention. But the receipts spoke louder than her lies. She lost credibility. Fast. And Jake? He tried texting me again. Tried apologizing. Tried to say, "I wasn't thinking clearly. I made a mistake. I miss you." I didn't even reply. I just sent him a single photo. A picture of the engagement ring I'd sold. Caption: "Mistake corrected." After that, silence. Leah moved back in with our parents for a while. Last I heard, she was trying to rebuild her image. She went quiet on social media. Good. As for me, I moved into a new apartment across town. Started seeing a therapist. Took a solo trip to Italy, something I always wanted to do but never had the right time for.